LM Radio.
The girl of your dreams has got to be in some bar.
Sorry, boys and girls, but this is X-rated. So if you're under 18...
Get out, goddammit!
Get the point? Good.
And now?
Bend over.
Y'all ready for this?
We do it all night long.
And now, your host, Grammy.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, everybody. Guess what? It is a FREEKER Friday, and it's a Friday the 13th. Double freaky. Cool beans. And this is Grammy Mary, and I am coming to you from my rocket chair here on reallibertymedia.com, channel 10 even. Double digits. I have made it. Or if you're talking binary, it's just a 1 and a 0. No big deal. So, let the giggle fest begin, shall we? Yeah, it's been weird weather out here today. By the way, do you miss America? Huh? How can you miss something you never really had? Although you might have thought you did, and you kind of lived like you did, and so therefore you kind of sort of did. But, just kind of one of them, that's kind of shit run through my mind. Isn't that scary? Oh, well. Let's see. I got to start saying hey to people. So over here on Fakey Book, I don't really see a whole hell of a lot of anybody except for Linda Bestlin shared this. And it's just a little something I want to get to before I totally spaz it off, because y'all know I can do that. So Linda says, years ago, I listened to a lady interview some twins, and they came from a dirt poor family, a tough life with a horribly drunken, abusive father, and the mother never had much to do with the boys. Now, one of the boys was a multimillionaire entrepreneur, and the other a drunk and homeless. The interviewer asked the entrepreneur, how did you turn out the way you did given the life you had? And his answer was, how could I not? And when she asked the drunkard how he could turn out the way he did, he responded, how could I not? They both had the same answer, but their lives had taken very different courses. One made excuses to not engage in life, and the other jumped in full steam ahead. So Linda's take on this was, our upbringing really has nothing to do with what we do with our lives when we leave home. It's what's in the mind and the spirit. And you know what, Linda? I don't know that I would say nothing, because actually they both got a lesson from how they were raised. It's just they both looked at that lesson and got a different lesson from it, and then moved along with that lesson. So it does have a lot to do with how you're raised, and it's more how you react. And that's kind of sort of what life is. How you act and react to everything that's happening to you and around you. Okay, over here on Twitter, hey, I gained a couple of stalkers. Booyah! Thank you, Barman, for tweeting me out. I really do appreciate it. And I just got to say, I'm trying a new browser tonight, so I'm hoping things will be going a heck of a lot smoother. I'm using Vivaldi tonight. And so far, it's working pretty darn spiffy. I'm really enjoying it. It's that damn holy crap-a-noli. That opera takes up an awful lot of memory. Oy. Yeah, Miss Gramerica. There you go. Oh, Grammy had a wild storm earlier. Cool. Or not so cool. I had a lot of storms pop up around me, but didn't get any rain, so I was out there moving sprinklers, and because it's not quite so dry in my yard anymore. So I'm sure if I were to go to mow, then it would plug up my mower because I watered. But in any case, I wouldn't be kicking up a big old honking cloud of dust. So, because I've gotten everything pretty well to where the dust has been beat down. But, okay, so, let me see. What am I talking about? Hell, I don't know. Okay, so over here on Twitter, thank you, Barman and Grimner, for tweeting me out. I really do appreciate it. And let's see, who are my new followers? Oh, I'll check that out later. Stalkers, make America great again. I think I will have pepper jack cheese if you're going to get the grater out. Just saying. Okay, over here on Minds. Hey there, everybody over on Minds. I actually went to the Real Liberty Media page on Minds and shared the little notification. So, yeah, kind of scary. I overachieved tonight. Over on Freedom's Network. Grimmy is over here. Thank you, Grimmy, for sharing it on here and letting everybody know that, yeah, the wild woman is on the loose again. I also see Bob Renner is on, as well as Late In and Loki Luck have been on just recently, at least. So, hey there, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a totally splendiferous day. Okay, I've been to Fakey Book. I've been to Twitter. I've been to Minds. I've been to that effing site. I think there's only one place left for me to go. Okay, there's another place left for me to go, but the temperature is just slightly cooler than what it usually is out here this time of year. Yeah, it is a kind of nice browser, Grim, and it's not a memory hog like. So I was this afternoon actually I was transferring bookmarks and cleaning out bookmarks and cleaning out my pocket. Needed to be done. And it was too freaking hot to be playing outside, and the flies were really, really hungry again because, well, you know, storm clouds moving in. So, okay, let me see. I'm going to see what Miss Fluky has to say about my weather. See what she's got to say. Fluky! Yeah, it really isn't too bad out there today. Partly cloudy, sunny beaches. We were supposed to get rain today. Oh, well. So, over here in the RLM, which is where you need to be if you want to give me static. If you're listening in on the Spreaker channel, by the way, come on over to reallibertymedia.com. Think of a nickname, join the chat, give me some static, I'll give it back. That is if you say grams and then give me static. Because if I don't get the little highlighter thingy, then I don't know that you're picking on me. So... but yeah, come on over here because my internet, douche. Oh well, right up top, the most splendiferous bot in the whole wide world. I see Barman is here, closely followed by Grimner, who is the RLM god, don't you know? And the lovely Moose Girl is also here, and they will both be on later on this evening for the Freakers Ball on this Freaky Friday the 13th. So, booyah! Gotta stay up, pay attention. I'll stay up for a while, and then I will wilt. It's like I have a pumpkin that shows up, even though I didn't even plant pumpkins this year. But I do have squash, just no pumpkins. Oh well, I will wilt, and I will more than likely head off to bed before midnight. I get up at 6. What can you say? In any case, the lovely Kate is here. Hey, Miss Kate, how's things down in Florida? I also see Asmo is here. Where is the Mr. Asmodeus Asmo? I am looking for him. Hi, Beth Z. How are you doing, hon? I saw you chitty-chatting. Was that earlier today or was that yesterday? I can't remember. I also see we got a double dip and a Chloe going on. Got a Chloe and a Chloe. And looky there, Free Enslaved is here. How you doing, Free? How is your puppy doing, you fur baby? Fur babies, mine is doing much better. Bubba is back to his slinky dog self. His intestinal issues have been overcome, and he is back to eating everything in sight except for furry critters. He's learned that lesson. Thank God. I'm here. Kinda, sorta. I also see IB Don C and IB Don C Woik are both here. He's an overachiever as much as Chloe is, by gosh and by golly. Then we got Java Doctor 2 in the house, as well as JJ's. Hi, JJ's. How you doing, Scottish feller? Juana Taco is here. Hey, Juana. You wanna? Meisterbrower. Hey, Woody. How you doing? And the lovely Rain is here. Rain, you should have fallen on me earlier today so I wouldn't have to be moving sprinklers. I also see RLM Fluke, the Vanna White of the RLM channel, who's trying on baby clothes. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Okay, little ones. Little ones are so fun. Gotta love them. I have another granddaughter whose birthday is Sunday, but she won't get her birthday present till Monday because, well, I slacked. I screwed up and I didn't get it ordered fast enough. But I'm sure she will enjoy it. Clothes. That's, once they get to a certain age, that's what they get. Clothes. I used to think, Grandma, come on, send me something cool. Give me something cool. And you know what would happen? I'd get clothes. And usually Christmas time it was socks and underwear. And now at Christmas time, you know what I tell my kids I want? Socks and underwear. Funny how that works out. Oh well. Rob Works is here. Hey Rob, how you doing? Have you fired up the bubbler and I just ain't paying attention? It could be that I just ain't paying attention. Or maybe Rob isn't chitty-chatting. Rob is not chitty-chatting. He's just logged in. I see Rome's is here who is talking about his little ones. Yes, Rome's, you have lots of little ones. And Phantom, the Phantom of the chat, is here. Not necessarily participating, but he's still lurking in the shadows. I also see Colfax 101 as well as Dakota and Death Spawn. Creepy. Frumpy is here. Hi, Frumpy. How you doing, hon? I also see Kozu is in the house, as well as Moy. We only got 2 poxes going on today. Hot damn. We got a poxified and a poxiphone. We also got a pond sauce going on, pompo pond sauce, and a sock puppet. Hi, Sock. How you doing? How's things down in Florida for the sock? I'm sure you're busy boy. And that's one of the things that my granddaughter really likes is sock puppets. The sock monkeys. And so I got her a t-shirt with a big old sock monkey on it. So she'll be all tickled shitless. And to round out the crew, the one, the only, the F-bominator, Skittle. Okay, so where do we want to go first? So many choices. Where shall I go? Okay. So, I'm checking my fakey book real quick. Okay. Not a whole hell of a lot going on there. Is there anything worth a shite on Twitter? Because if not, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Because it's like, oh, shit. Anti-media shared. U.S. airstrike kills 54 civilians in Syria. Okay. God dang it. That was shared by UCY.TV, by the way. Lovely Miss Jules. Okay, I am going to go to a couple of things that I saw on Minds earlier. Was it Minds or was it? Yeah, I think they were both from Minds. This one is from thenaturalblaze.com, and I do believe it was posted on the RLM page over on Minds. J&J forced to pay $4.7 billion with a B as jury finds they knowingly gave women cancer with baby powder. It's not nearly enough, because what is a life worth? A life is priceless. It really is. But in Missouri, for the last several years, Johnson & Johnson has been battling multiple lawsuits, many of which they have lost, due to thousands of claims of their baby powder product giving women cancer. On Thursday, a Missouri jury handed down the largest verdict yet, ordering the pharma giant to pay $4.7 billion to the victims. Now, in this latest case, 22 women alleged that the company's talc-based products, including its baby powder, contained a known carcinogen, asbestos, which caused them to develop cancer. And according to reports, there are over 9,000 similar talc lawsuits against the company. Do you hear that rushing water? It's getting ready to flush. I hope this is just the beginning. Naturally, J&J denies that their product causes cancer and that it contains asbestos. However, a government-funded study from the mid-1990s found that Johnson's baby powder caused cancer in rats, and other studies have found an increased risk of cancer in women who use talc-based products. Now, the potential risks have been known to the company for decades, and yet that almighty cha-ching is ever so much more important. And so what if they lose a few repeat customers? Because, people are out there potty-throwing like crazy. They'll make more. So what's more is the fact that talc, in its natural form, can contain varying amounts of asbestos and other materials. If it's not properly filtered, the asbestos can make it through to the consumer products. Now, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC, which is part of the World Health Organization, or WHO, and whose major goal is to identify causes of cancer, classifies talc as follows. The IARC classifies talc that contains asbestos as carcinogenic to humans. And based on the lack of data from human studies and on limited data in lab animal studies, IARC classifies inhaled talc not containing asbestos as not classifiable as a as to carcinogenicity. Wow. Okay. And based on limited evidence from the human studies of the link of ovarian cancer, IARC classifies the perennial genital use of talc-based body powders as possibly carcinogenic to humans. Now, Thursday's massive verdict awarded the women handed down in the Circuit Court of the City of St. Louis was comprised of $550 million in compensatory damages and $4.14 billion in punitive damages. That's according to the online broadcast of the trial by Courtroom View Network. And following the reading of the verdict on the network, J&J's shares fell just 1%, showing that the company's image will likely not be tarnished by such a massive blow until it goes viral on the internet, which you bet your sweet ass I'm going to share this all over the place. Now, according to CNBC, the women and their families said decades-long use of baby powder and other cosmetic talc products caused their diseases. They allege that the company knew its talc was contaminated with asbestos since at least the 1970s, but failed to warn consumers about the risk. And that's one of those things where buyer beware. And unfortunately, we did not know enough to realize that we needed to be wary of those. I say that we colloquially because it's basically me, myself, and I, and a few others out there that will identify as, yeah, I didn't know that you had to look for that shit. You grow up trusting, and then you find out your trust was misplaced. Now, Mark Lanier, who is the lawyer for the women, released a statement following the verdict and urged J&J to pull its products from the shelf before causing further anguish, harm, and death from the terrible disease, or keep yourself open up for a hell of a lot more lawsuits. If J&J insists on continuing to sell talc, they should mark it with a serious warning, Lanier said. How many people read the labels, let alone the warning labels? So while the majority of the cases against J&J focus on ovarian cancer caused by the talc itself, others focus on mesothelioma, a tissue cancer known to be caused by exposure to asbestos. And this case was a mixture of both and is likely the reason for such a large payout. Now recently, In 2009 and 2010, the Food and Drug Administration, you know, those ones that just kind of rubber stamp anything going through Big Pharma, claims to have tested multiple samples of J&J's baby powder and said they found no traces of asbestos. Wink, 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 wink. And yet they approved another psychotic drug for little ones. Ha, ha, ha. I'll maintain my composure. Now, according to Lanier, however, during the trial, he told jurors that the agency and other labs used by J&J implemented flawed methods that did not allow for the proper detection of asbestos fibers, as the two minerals are very closely related. Now, Lanier explained how the two minerals can mix during the mining process and make it nearly impossible to separate the two. J&J denied this claim and noted that they will be appealing the verdict. Ya think? So, go ahead and appeal all you want. Spend that money on them high-priced lawyers. You're gonna need 'em, 'cause you're gonna have a lot. What? Oh. You got a NOAA weather alert? I haven't been getting those lately, and it's like, what the hell? Why am I not getting the little which, yeah, it makes me jump too, Grim. Okay, I'm going to put this over on Facebook real quick, just because. Okay, yeah, oh shit, and somebody's sharing crap about former Popo Obama. Ick. Icky. I'll put that on Twitter too, real quick. Okay, and then over on the effing site, just because. Yes, I need to share my links everywhere. Okay. And for the emoticons. Okay, so now I have one other thing that I need to get to. That kind of goes right along with this. It's also from Mother Nature Network. The J&J one was from naturalblaze.com. This one is Mother Nature Network, and it's 5 alternatives to talc powder. Oh, and Miss Catherine is listening in. Yay! Hi, Miss Catherine. How are you doing over there in Ireland? That's where Catherine's at. Okay, so the 5 alternatives to talcum powder. The headlines about baby powder and its connection to ovarian cancer may raise more questions than answers. And on July the 12th, the jury in St. Louis awarded $4.69 billion to 22 women who sued Johnson & Johnson, claiming they developed ovarian cancer from years of using the company's talcum powder products. So in August of 2017, a jury in California ordered Johnson & Johnson to pay $417 million to a woman who says she developed terminal ovarian cancer. However, a Superior Court judge overturned the verdict in October and ordered a new trial. In February of 2016, a Missouri court ordered Johnson & Johnson to pay $72 million in damages, so the family of Jackie Fox, a woman who died of, or to the family of Jackie Fox, a woman who died of ovarian cancer. This verdict was also overturned in the Missouri Court of Appeals in October of 2017. Now, all of these lawsuits said that the cancer was linked to the long-term habit of applying baby powder. 2 other Missouri court cases against Johnson & Johnson went in favor of the women who sued, leaving the company on the hook for $197 million. And more than 2,500 lawsuits are pending in the state. That's just in Missouri. 2,500. But Johnson & Johnson insists a correlation between talc powder and ovarian cancer has not been proven. In a lawsuit settled in March of 2017, a jury ruled in favor of Johnson & Johnson, and the plaintiff was Tennessee resident Nora Daniels, who alleged that she used their baby powder for 36 years and was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2013. Prosecutors say that Johnson & Johnson knew about the risk in the early 1980s and did not protect its customers because cha-ching was way more important, once again. In fact, the first study conducted on talc powder used on female genitalia found a 92% increased risk for ovarian cancer with women who reported genital talc use. But still, other doctors disagreed. Why? Because basically they are taught by the people that you are having to deal with the repercussions of. They bought and paid for every damn medical school in this country. Now, several decades of medical research do not support the hypothesis that the use of talcum powder causes ovarian cancer, said Dr. Hal Lawrence, who is the chief executive officer of the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. In other words, his face is always down in the hoo-hoo area. And he's peeking at your pooty-poo. So, but consider some safe alternatives. You know, I mean, it never hurts to be safe rather than sorry. This number one, okay. Cornstarch, which is found in the baking aisle of your local grocery store. Cornstarch is a great natural alternative to talc. The consistency is exactly the same, so it'll help soak up any wetness just as well. And cornstarch is derived from the endosperm of the corn kernel and is often used to help thicken sauces. Although I'm not real sure I would recommend using cornstarch simply because of all of the GMO corn that is out there. Do you really want GMO stuff down by your pooty poo? Or putting that on your baby's pooty poo or backside? I don't think so. How about arrowroot starch or tapioca starch? Both staples in the paleo baker's kitchen, these starches are all-natural alternatives to talc. Arrowroot is derived from several tropical South American plants, and tapioca starch is derived from the crushed-up pulp of the South American cassava plant. It's a woody shrub. Both are used in paleo recipes as alternatives to flour and cornstarch. And if you're using it on your baby's sore bottom, there is a recipe there with a few extra ingredients to help soothe. And I'm going to click on that recipe real quick because I may just have to go that. It is from Wellness Mama. Cool. No. I do not want Wellness Mama doing that. I need to install a pop-up blocker on Vivaldi. Okay. Baking soda. Now you need to get the baking soda that's aluminum free. If you thought that sodium bicarbonate, otherwise known as baking soda, had only 100 uses, well, here's one more. This common pantry item can be used in place of baby powder, and some people even use it as deodorant, applying some of to their underarms each morning. Can also deodorize the air, and as a matter of fact, I keep one container in my pantry, one under the sink, and one in the laundry room, and one in the bathroom. And I use baking soda in the bath myself. And you can make your own deodorant with baking soda and essential oils. And, you know, use like fractionated coconut oil for your base oil, and then you add some other essential oils that are good at fighting bacteria like lavender and lime. And that way you make your own, also melaleuca is good for that, and frankincense. There's lots of them that are really good for fighting bacterial kind of, which is what causes the aroma. But you can make your own deodorant. Just take your old deodorant container and use that as your mold. You can make it. Just do a search for DIY deodorant. Save you boatloads of money. Also, you can use oat flour. You can try this if you're looking for a slightly coarser powder than the ones mentioned above. Or you can take your oatmeal, just your regular old oatmeal, like Quaker, although I'm not recommending Quaker, but any kind of rolled oats. And if you've got a magic bullet or any kind of other thing like that, just put a cup in there and just pulverize the snot out of it. Works great. Also, commercial baby powder alternatives are Burt's Bees Baby Dusting Powder, Honeybee Gardens Deodorant Powder, the Honest Company Organic Baby Powder, and Nature's Baby Dusting Powder. Although I don't know yeah. Oh, and they say you can combine these with essential oils, so the powder smells wonderful too. Which, yeah, I do that. So, actually, for my bath, I do Epsom salt, baking soda, and essential oils. So, in any case, here's one last reason to consider the all-natural route. Talc is poisonous when inhaled or swallowed, and it can cause breathing problems, which is why the American Academy of Pediatrics urges caution when it comes to using talc powder on babies. Now, they didn't used to do that. Used to use talc powder. I used talc powder on both of my girls. So, this is a wonderful alternative. I'm really, really happy to see that some of this stuff is coming out, and I'm going to try some of those. So, Miss Beth, I didn't see the duck. Darn it. Well, at least you as friends. 844. Holy crap-a-noli. Okay. Let me put this talc over here on the effing site real quick, because this is awesome. This is awesome sauce. That's one that's going to have to go in my save this article and share multiple times throughout the months, especially with people that have little ones. Okay. I think I'll even put that on this one. So, I shared it on Fakey Book too. That'll learn 'em. That'll learn 'em. So, let me see what's going on over here in the... Not a whole heck of a lot. Now, we got Johnson & Johnson, which is a big conglomeration that knows all kind of... Oh, wait a minute here. Let me see. Baby powder recipe. Let me check this out. Arrowroot and chamomile. Ah, how cool. Arrowroot and chamomile. That's pretty much what you need. That's pretty spiffy. I'll go ahead and share that one with you too. Just so anybody out there that might need it. And I'll put that on my... Yeah. We'll do this too. So, now... If you think Johnson & Johnson is bad, just wait till you get your hands on some Bayer-ass Monsatan. Or wait until Monsatan gets a hold of your Bayer-ass. However, who's the parent company on this? Did Bayer buy Monsatan, or did Monsatan buy Bayer, or did they just merge to become the devil's spawn? This is from naturalblaze.com. Secret documents expose Monsatan's war on cancer scientists. So, Dwayne Johnson, a 46-year-old father dying of non-Hodgkin lymphoma, became the first person to face Monsatan in trial this week over allegations the company hid evidence about the cancer-causing dangers of its Roundup weed killer. Now, Johnson is the first of some 4,000 people suing Monsatan in state and federal courts, claiming their cancers were caused by glyphosate-based Roundup. The litigation and documents coming to light because of it are shining light on the heavy-handed tactics Monsatan, now a subsidiary of Bayer, has used to deny cancer risk and protect the chemical from its linchpin of its profits. So, or that is the linchpin of its profits. And yeah, good old Rummy Rumsfeld. I don't remember if he was in the Department of Ag or if he was in EPA. He was in one of those government agencies that was key in allowing Monsatan and their glyphosate-laden Roundup to go through to market. Thank you, Rummy Rumsfeld, you assholio. Captain Assholio rides again. Oh well. Monsatan was its own ghostwriter for some safety reviews, Bloomberg reported, and the EPA official reportedly helped Monsatan kill another agency's cancer study. An investigation in Le Monde details Monsatan's effort to destroy the United Nations Cancer Agency by any means possible in order to save glyphosate. Now, 2 recent journal articles based on reviews of the Roundup trial discovery documents. Hey, darling, I just got company. Okay. Let's see. Where was I at? So, 2 recent journal articles based on reviews of the Roundup trial discovery documents report corporate interference in the scientific publication and a federal regulatory agency, and other examples of poisoning the scientific well. Shock, shock, shock. So Monsatan's ghostwriting and strong-arming threatening sound science and society, wrote Tufts University professor Sheldon Krimsky in a June essay. And the discovery documents, he said, uncover the corporate capture of science, which puts public health and the very foundation of democracy at risk, which, you really don't want to have a democracy because, and seriously, people, you need to look up the real definitions of these things. A democracy is majority rule. Period. End of discussion. And if the majority is swayed one way or another, the hell with the individual. In a republic definition, the republic is supposed to have the individual is protected, the most important. And so you do not wish to have a democracy, you wish to have a republic. If you're going to have some form of government, don't go to we're spreading democracy. Yeah, you're spreading majority rule, you asshats. In any case, back to this. This corporate war on science has major implications for all of us, considering that half of all men in the United States and a third of women will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their lives. That's according to the National Cancer Institute. Now, I wonder if that takes into account all of those false positives or, the oncologists that just happen to have the treatment center as part of their services that they offer. So, better to be safe than sorry. And so, yeah, they give you that diagnosis of cancer. And now the famous one, precancerous. It's you realize what precancerous is, don't you? It means healthy. Because if you're precancerous, that means you don't have cancer. And so therefore, yeah. Just like pre-diabetic, it's the same thing. When you're saying pre-something, that means you don't have it. But it's someone in a white coat is telling you that you're so you need to start taking the medicine now in order to not. Or you need to do these treatments in order to not. It's scare tactic bullshit. It's basically what it is. So, the documents the food industry doesn't want you to see? Well, for years, the food and chemical industries have set their sights on one particular target in the science world. And that's the International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC. which is an independent research group that for 50 years has worked to identify cancer hazards, to inform policies that can prevent cancer. You need to work on those oncologists too that are real good about, I just happen to I can do those services right here in my clinic. Can you hear the cha-ching as you get sicker and your bank account gets smaller and they buy another yacht? Yes, I'm being an asshole. So, I've been fighting IARC forever. One former Kraft food scientist wrote to a former Syngenta scientist in an email obtained through a state open records request. Foods and ag are under siege since glyphosate in March of 2015. We all need to gather something to expose IARC, as you guys did in the paper. Next priorities are all food ingredients as pertains sucralose, dietary iron, B-carotene, BPA, etc. IARC is killing us. Well, you know what? Maybe you need to die. Maybe your corporations need to go away. Maybe people need to just stop purchasing your products. The IARC expert panel decision to classify glyphosate as a probable carcinogenic to humans created a rallying point of the panel's foes to gather forces. And a key Monsatan document released via litigation reveals that the plan of attack was to discredit the cancer scientists with the help of allies across the food industry. So in other words, they are not going to battle them with facts and logic. They are going to use slur and slander and sling mud and dig up ugly, ugly, ugly stuff, or make up ugly, ugly, ugly stuff. Now, Monsatan's public relations plan assigned 20 corporate staffers to prepare for the IARC carcinogenicity. Wow, that's hard for me to say. Their report on glyphosate, with objectives including neutralize impact, establish public perspective on IARC, in other words, smear, slur, slander, regulatory outreach. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're wanting to regulate us out of business. You need to be out of business. Ensure MonPov and engage industry associates in outrage. Well, you can go ahead and be outraged all you want, darling. People are outraged with your shit too. Maybe not enough yet, but I'm starting to see it out here. So, the document identifies 4 tiers of industry partners to help advance the 3 objectives named in the PR plan. Protect the reputation of Roundup, prevent unfounded cancer claims, quote unquote unfounded cancer claims, from becoming popular opinion, and provide cover for regulatory agencies to allow or to keep allowing the use of glyphosate. Yeah. So, the industry partner groups Monsatan tapped to discredit the IARC scientists include the largest pesticide and food industry lobby organizations, CropLife International, Bio and Grocery Manufacturers Association. They are all binding together. Why? Because they all put their eggs in the Monsatan basket, and now they know they will go down with that ship. The industry-funded spin groups such as GMO Answers and the International Food Information Council, and sciencey sounding front groups like Sense About Science and Genetic Literacy, or the Genetic Literacy Project, and Academics Review. Yeah, like I have faith in any kind of academic review anymore, and yet here I'm using the IARC. Yeah, ain't it crazy? They all are using similar messaging and often referring back to each other as sources. Why do they refer back to each other? Because they're the only ones that have that information. They're the ones spewing it. They can't find any actual documentation to back up their claims. Now, the documents obtained by U.S. Right to Know investigation illuminate on how these partner groups work together to promote the MONPOV about the safety and necessity of pesticides and GMOs. Stop and think here, people. If it kills bugs, you think it's going to make you sick? It probably is. If it kills something else, it's probably going to fuck with you too. There I go, F-bombing it. So one set of documents revealed how Monsanto's PR operatives organized Academics Review as a neutral-sounding platform, much like Snopes, although they don't do very good at being neutral-sounding either, which they could launch attacks against the target list of foes, including the Sierra Club, author Michael Pollan, and the movie Food Inc., and the organic industry. I do have an issue with the organic industry simply because I go to the grocery store now or I go somewhere else and it's like, what the hell is the deal with all this shit? All you have to do is say it's organic and cha-ching, the price just doubles. Bullshit. That's bullshit. Just put organic on that label and the price just doubled. And then when you read the ingredients, it's like some of them ingredients ain't exactly what I would call organic. Okay, they're organic, all right, but really? That's using that term very loosely. Now, and I have seen the movie Food Inc., and I highly recommend you check it out. Now, the architects of the Academics Review, co-founders Bruce Chasse and David Tribe, are Monsatan executive Eric Sachs, former Monsatan communications director Jay Byrne, and former VP of the biotech industry trade group Val Giddings. And they talked openly in the emails about setting up Academic Review as a front group to promote industry interests and attract industry cha-ching cash, while keeping corporate fingerprints hidden. And just a little excerpt here. I proposed to Val that he and I meet while in D.C. next week so that we can, not via email, get a clear picture of options for taking the Academic Review project and other opportunities forward. The Center for Consumer Freedom, activistcash.com, has cashed in on this to the extreme, and I think we have a much better concept. I'm compiling an opportunities list with targets which includes the likes of Vandana Shiva, Andrew Kimbrell, and Ronnie Cummings. Organizations such as Sierra Club, Greenpeace, and IATP, and content which includes Food Inc. and World According to Monsatan and In Defense of Food. Excuse me. All of these also have topic crossover on the risk areas of the ag biotech, or outcrossing contamination, bees, butterflies, human safety, etc. And I have a document we developed for Monsatan, which needs to be updated, of course, which lists all the various areas of attack areas on ag biotech and sources of those attacks and the response data available at the time. Now, all of these individuals, organizations, content items, and topic areas mean money for a range of well-heeled corporations. I believe Val and I can identify and serve as the appropriate non-academic commercial vehicles. That's from an email from Jay Byrne, former director of corporate communications for Monsatan, to Bruce Chasse. Isn't that wonderful? We need to talk about the Academics Review site and concept. I believe that there is a path to a process that would be better, or that would better respond to scientific concerns and allegations. I shared with Val yesterday. From my perspective, the problem is one of expert engagement, and that could be solved by paying experts to provide responses. Once again, the cha-ching crawls into the mix. Val explained that step one is to establish a 501c3 not-for-profit status to facilitate fundraising. In other words, they're doing this on your dime as well. And that makes sense, but there is more. I discussed with Jerry Steiner today, a Monsatan executive team, and can help motivate CLI, BIO, and CBI and other organizations to support. The key will be keeping Monsatan in the background so as not to harm the credibility of the information. All my best, Eric. That's an email from Eric Sachs, Monsatan's Science, Technology, and Outreach Lead, to Bill Chassie. So even now with their playbook exposed, their primary funding identified as coming from the trade group funded by Monsatan, Bayer, BASF, Syngenta, and Dow DuPont, Academic Review still claims on its website to accept donations only from non-corporate sources. Really? Thanks, SCOTUS, for giving corporations personhood, or lumping us in with corporations. Yeah, we don't have the cha-ching that corporations do to line your sorry-ass pockets. So, Academics Review also claims that the IARC glyphosate cancer review fails on multiple fronts. In a post sourced by the industry-funded PR website GMO Answers, the industry-funded front group American Council on Science and Health, and a Forbes article by Henry Miller that was ghostwritten by Monsatan. I didn't know they were so prodigious. So Miller and the Academics Review organizers Chassie, Tribe, Byrne, and Sachs and Giddings are all also members of AgBio Chatter, which is a private list server that appeared in Monsatan's PR plan as a Tier 2 industry partner. Emails from AgBio Chatter list suggest it was used as a forum to coordinate industry allies on messaging and lobbying activities to promote GMOs and pesticides. The members included senior agrochemical industry staff, PR consultants, and pro-industry academics, many of whom write for industry media platforms such as GMO Answers, Genetic Literacy Project, or play leadership roles in other Monsatan partner groups. In other words, they are all little demon spawns. You little imps, you. Now, Genetic Literacy Project, which is led by longtime chemical industry PR operative John Entine, also partnered with Academic Review to run a series of conferences funded by the agrochemical industry to train journalists and scientists how to better promote GMOs and pesticides and argue for their deregulation. And the organizers were again dishonest about the sources of their funding. Now, these groups cast themselves as honest arbiters of science, even as they spread false information and level near hysterical attacks against scientists who raise concerns about the cancer risk of glyphosate. Now, a search of IARC on Genetic Literacy Project website brings up more than 220 articles with industry messaging maligning the cancer scientists as anti-chemical enviros who lied and conspired to misrepresent. Are you looking at a mirror, guys? Oh, and they misrepresent the health risks of glyphosate, and arguing that the Global Cancer Agency should be defunded and abolished. Well, why not? I mean, get rid of them, because that way you'll have one less voice out there in the crowd that are calling you liars. killers. Literally, you are. So many of these anti-IARC articles posted on that site are pushed by other industry surrogates. Ignore the many news reports based on Monsatan papers, documenting corporate interference in the scientific research, and focus instead on the misleading reporting of Kate Kelland, a Reuters reporter who has close ties to Science Media Center, the sister organization of Sense About Science, which is a group Monsatan suggested in its PR plan to lead industry response in the media. So the battle against IARC, based on these attacks, has now reached Capitol Hill, with congressional Republicans led by Representative Lamar Smith investigating and trying to withhold U.S. funding from the world's leading cancer research agency. Gee, Mr. Lamar Smith, how much campaign money did you get from Monsatan and ilk? So who is on the side of science? Because Monsatan's lobbying and messaging to discredit the IARC Cancer Panel is based on the argument that other agencies using risk-based assessments have exonerated glyphosate of cancer risk. But as many news outlets have reported, along with 2 recent journal articles based on the Monsatan papers, evidence is piling up that the regulatory risk assessments on glyphosate, which rely heavily on industry-provided research, have been compromised by undisclosed conflicts of interest, reliance on dubious science, and ghost-written material, and other methods of corporate strong-arming that puts public health at risk. As the Tufts professor Sheldon Krimsky wrote, to protect the scientific enterprise, one of the core pillars of a modern democratic society, against the forces that would turn it into a handmaiden of industry or politics, our society must support firewalls between academic science and the corporate sectors, and educate young scientists and journal editors on the moral principles behind their respective professional roles. You cannot teach morality. You cannot. You can be an example of moral or immoral behavior or thinking, but you cannot really teach it. Someone has to observe and take it in on their own. Now, the policymakers must not allow corporate-spun science to guide decisions about cancer prevention. Media must do a better job reporting and probing into conflicts of interest behind the corporate science spin. It's time to end the corporate war on cancer science. And it is. It's time to end corporates being able to call the shots. The consumer is the one that needs to call the shots. The consumer is the one that needs to step up. Excuse me, and let you know, y'all are killing me with your shit, literally. So let's just stop, okay? I'm done with you. And stop. Be done with it. Okay, that was already, I got that from Freedom's Network, so I don't think I need to share that there again, but I will put it over here on Minds real quick. Let's see. Oops. Stutterfingers. See, Grimmy has Grimfinger. I have Stutterfingers. There's a difference. Not much of one, but there is. Okay. I think I'm going to go to my pocket because I do have a few other things that I want to get to today. seeing as how we're talking about GMO and all that other nasty, nasty juju. This is from realpharmacy.com. University study finds fake extra virgin olive oils are flooding grocery store shelves. I've read something about this a few months back, but I saw this and it was like, wow. So, did you know that your extra virgin olive oil is probably fake, thanks to the mob? Well, any of them are the mob as far as I'm concerned, but did you know that the mafia is making a small fortune selling fake olive oil, or that olive oil is a $1.5 billion industry in the United States alone? In fact, olive oil is currently Europe's most adulterated agricultural product. That's according to Tom Mueller, an investigative reporter who wrote an eye-opening expose on fake olive oil entitled Extra Virginity, the Sublime and Scandalous World of Olive Oil. 70% of extra virgin olive oil sold is adulterated and cut with cheaper oils. Now, many olive oil scams involve straightforward mixing of low-grade vegetable oils, flavored and colored with plant extracts and sold in tins and bottles emblazoned with the Italian flags or paintings of Mount Vesuvius, together with folksy names of imaginary producers, and more sophisticated scams like Domenico Rabati's typically take place in high-tech laboratories, where cheaper oils of various kinds made from olives but also from seeds and nuts are produced and blended in ways that are extremely difficult to detect with chemical tests. So who knew? It's probable that many Americans who have been buying olive oil labeled extra virgin for decades have never tasted the real thing. So, the godfather of all of this? Well, olive oil racketeering is one of the Italian mafia's most lucrative businesses. Their success can be measured by the fact that most olive oil solids is either adulterated or completely fake. And since genuine olive oil is costly and time-consuming to produce, yet easy to adulterate but difficult to detect from the real, the fake, and it's in high demand. Producing fake olive oil would prove to be an enormous money-making enterprise for mafioso fraudsters. In the original Godfather novel, protagonist Don Vito Corleone, there you go, was known as the Olive Oil King. But did you know his character was based on a real-life olive oil mobster named Joe Proficani. Proficani. Imagine that. Proficani sounds like turn a profit. Oh, Grammy, I hadn't even really thought about that. Damn. Somebody is fucked that they ain't virgins anymore. Damn it. Chalcedony is joined. Hi, Chalcedony. Okay, so, excuse me. I need a sip. Olive oil has been highly valued as a food and as a medicine in the Mediterranean culture for over 2,000 years. During Roman times, per capita consumption of olive oil was estimated to be up to 50 liters a year. Wow, that's a lot of olive oil. And the most coveted type of olive oil is extra virgin. How can you be extra virgin? Is that like kind of pregnant? So, Olive Oil Times defines extra virgin as, excuse me, in chemical terms, extra virgin olive oil is described as having a free acidity expressed as oleic acid and of not more than 0.8 grams per 100 grams and a peroxide value of less than 200 milliequivalent it must be produced entirely by mechanical means without the use of any solvents and under temperatures that will not degrade the oil, or less than 86 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees centigrade. So why would they fake extra virgin olive oil? It's cheaper to do it the other way. That's number one. Well, according to this, number one is olive oil fraud investigator told Mueller that profits were comparable to cocaine trafficking with none of the risks. See? Bada bing. Talk about lubing somebody's palms. Number two, olive oil is a very big international business. Americans alone spend approximately $700 million on olive oil annually. And you know, I use coconut oil more than I do olive oil. I really don't use olive oil unless it expressly calls for it. I like coconut oil. Go figure. Number three, olive oil consumption is on the upswing. It's up 37% in Southern Europe and more than 100% in North America. Number four, counterintuitively, although olive oil is far more expensive than other oils and has very unique characteristics, it's very easy to fake. Now, the enormous popularity of Made in Italy label worldwide makes it an appetizing target for food fraudsters, who earn an estimated 60 billion euro a year selling counterfeit or adulterated faux Italian foods. And in some of these crimes, mafia syndicates and other criminal networks sell substandard or unsafe products at huge profits. Now, historically, olive oil has been one of the most adulterated products in Europe, and the fraud continues. In the past, olive oil fraudsters used to cut the oil with lard. Now, olive oil fraud has been around for millennia, and the earliest written mention of olive oil on cuneiform tablets in Ebla in the 24th century BC describes teams of inspectors who toured olive mills on behalf of the king, looking for fraudulent practices. And the Romans established an international trade in olive oil, and certain emperors rose to power on olive oil wealth. They were the ancient counterpart of today's oil sheiks. So, in an NPR interview, Tom Mueller stated, "What real olive oil gets you from a health perspective is a cocktail of 200 plus highly beneficial ingredients that explain why olive oil has been the heart of the Mediterranean diet. Bad olives have free radicals and impurities, and when you've lost that wonderful cocktail that you get from fresh fruit, from real extra virgin olive oil." So, back in 2010, UC Davis published a detailed report entitled "Tests Indicate that Imported Extra Virgin Olive Oil often fails international and USDA standards." Which really doesn't surprise me much, because USDA, we know where their standards lie, with the cha-ching. Researchers found that fake extra virgin olive oils are flooding supermarket shelves in California, and in 2 studies, the UC Davis researchers tested a total of 186 extra virgin olive oil samples, both imported and domestic, using standards established by the International Olive Council, as well as olive oil analysis used in Germany and Australia. And the study concluded that 69% of imported and 10% of California-based olive oil labeled extra virgin did not pass the test. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture sensory standard, or they didn't pass the U.S. Department of Agriculture sensory standards for extra virgin olive oil either. So, the reality is, more than 2/3 of common brands of extra virgin olive oil found in California grocery stores aren't what they claim to be. That's according to a report by researchers at UC Davis. So put another way, approximately 69% of all store-bought extra virgin olive oils in the U.S. are likely fake. Interestingly, though, while 11% of the imported Italian samples failed both sensory olive oil testing panels, the Australian and California samples only failed one panel. Understandably, some question the UC Davis study results because the research was funded in part by the California Olive Ranch and California Olive Oil Council, and both groups are connected to the Australian Olive Association. But a preponderance of evidence clearly indicates that the UC Davis olive oil analysis accurately reflects reality. The adulteration of olive oil was a well-established fact in the late 1990s. Indisputable evidence that olive oil was often cut with cheaper oils, like hazelnut and sunflower seed. That was widespread. In fact, the European Union declared it. Olive oil to be their number one adulterated agricultural product, it got so bad that the EU's anti-fraud division established an olive oil task force. And still, olive oil fraud remains a major international problem. So, how do you tell if your olive oil is the real deal? Well, this is from the olive oil source. So, extra virgin, light, pomace, filtered, cold-pressed, stone-milled, organic, the list goes on. So if you're confused about which olive oil to buy, you're not alone. But at the olive oil source, we think that there are a few keys to choosing the right olive oil. First is knowing the types of olive oil available. Second is considering what you will use it for. And learning the different grades of olive oil and their characteristics will help you make sense. So, from The Guardian, how to buy your olive oil. First, find a seller who stores it in clean, temperature-controlled stainless steel containers topped with an inert gas such as nitrogen to keep oxygen at bay, and bottles it as they sell it. Ask to taste it before you buy it. Now, favor bottles or containers that protect against light, and buy a quantity that you'll use up quickly. So in other words, get the smaller ones. That's what I would have to do. Don't worry about the color because good oils come in all shades, from green to gold to pale straw. But avoid flavors such as moldy or cooked or greasy or meaty or metallic or cardboard. Now ensure that your oil is labeled extra virgin, since other categories like pure or light oil or olive olive pomace oil have undergone chemical refinement. Try to buy oils from this year's harvest. Look for bottles with the date of harvest, and failing that, look for the best buy date, which should be 2 years after the oil was bottled. Now, although not always a guarantee of quality, Protected Design of Origin, PDO, and PGI, which is Protected Geographical Indication status, should inspire some confidence. I don't know. So some terms commonly used on olive oil labels are anachronistic, such as first pressed and cold pressed. And since most extra virgin oil nowadays is made with centrifuge, it isn't pressed at all, and true extra virgin olive oil comes exclusively from the first processing of the olive paste. So the brands that failed to meet the extra virgin olive oil standards from the UC Davis findings were Bertolli, Carapelli, Filippo Barrio, Missoula, Monsatan, Newman's Own. Oh, Paul Newman, are you rolling in your grave? Pompian, Rachel Ray. Safeway, Star, and Whole Foods. Now, the brands that did meet extra olive oil standards were Cordo Olive, California Olive Ranch, Kirkland Organic, Lucero, and McAvoy Ranch Organic. So, and I'm sure there are ways that you can, I know I remember reading something that, lets you test what you had purchased to ensure if it was, the best way you can. If it was real extra virgin or adulterated. So, oh, damn it, Rome's. I'm catching up on the chat over here, and now my tummy is rumbling. Dang it. And IB Don C is sharing pictures of his babies. I'm gonna need to check it out now. Damn it. Okay, Don. Okay, come on. A little bit faster. Oh, she is a pretty baby. Thank you for sharing that picture, Dawn. I don't know if you're listening or not, and that's okay. Either way, it's all good. So, there's so much fraud out there. So many faker belly acres. I'm getting really tired of all of this. And it's all for the almighty dollar. Sons of bitches. So, for that almighty dollar, where is that at? I saved something or opened something about Nicaragua. I am not seeing the page now. Damn it. Was that in another one? Some bitch. Nope. Maybe it's in my pocket. Oh no, Venezuela. Here we go. From zerohedge.com. When you got all this fraud stuff going on and all this crap for the almighty dollar and the dollar goes to shit and all this other fun stuff. From zerohedge.com. Venezuela's socialist hyperinflation turned people back to barter system. So, in the wake of socialist Venezuela's massive hyperinflation, citizens have returned to the original monetary system in order to survive. So while it's virtually impossible to visualize the inflationary trend in Venezuela, Bloomberg's Cafe con leche, is that how you say that? Whatever. That index signals a roughly comparable level of 43,478%. So, more assuredly, annualizing the last 3 months of data paints an even more dismal picture of inflation of 482,153%. That is freaking madness. So, and just looking at the past month, Reuters reports that June inflation accelerated to 128.4%, the fastest this year, from 110.1% in May. And that's according to opposition legislator Angel Alvarado. And even more shocking, food prices rose by 183% in June. So the barter system is now prevalent in the collapsed economy of authoritarian dictator Nicolas Maduro. So, yeah, I do a lot of barter. Now, barter is one of the best ways to trade goods, considering it's almost impossible to tax those transactions. And since money in Venezuela is as difficult to come by as food and medicine, that's now the preferred method of trading goods and services. Women in Venezuela have been turning to prostitution and asking for payment in food instead of cash for a while now. And as the regime tightens its grip on the private sector, more will have to turn to trade to survive. Now, it was once one of the richest countries in Latin America. Venezuela, which sits on the world's largest oil reserves, now has a bleak future. And people in this oil-rich country are scrambling for money, food, and basic necessities, or at least modern world basic necessities. They've taken to swapping different items and even doing chores in exchange for a package of flour or rice or cooking oil. So Venezuela has experienced the death of cash. Payment for even the cheapest of goods and services would require unwieldy piles of banknotes or fiat currency. And there simply are not enough of those in circulation. So while wealthy formal businesses in cities can get by on bank transfers and debt credits, such operations are largely out of the question in rural areas. And the economic collapse, which began under Socialist President Nicolas Maduro's government, has driven nearly 1 million people to migrate to other places in search of food, medicine, and other basic life necessities. And others have stayed and fight each other with machetes for some quality garbage that is thrown out. That's kind of sad. No, that's really sad. So economists have begun placing the blame on the current government, which is a socialist regime which actually leans more towards communism. And the two are almost the same thing anyway, but 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But many economists say that the central bank has not printed bills fast enough to keep up with inflation. You print more bills, you just make more inflation, dumbasses. Excuse me. It's a very primitive payment system, but it's also very primitive for a country not to have enough cash available. That is according to Luis Vicente Leon, who is an economist. And you know what? Stick with the barter system. You get tangible for tangible. That paper, you might be able to start a fire to keep you warm at night. Tangible for tangible. That's what I say. Let's see. Milk Cafe. Oh. Okay. Yeah, Don, cameras put on 20 pounds. Just saying. Although it doesn't do that with puppies. But that's what I hear. I hear a camera adds 20 pounds. Which is why all of those movie star people are frickin' anorexic. Or all the bimbettes at least are. I can't call them all bimbettes, but I don't know them that well. Just judging by the characters that they play. So, let's do this. Okay, yeah, I much prefer the barter system over a lot of this other nonsense that's going on out there. Excuse me. So, let's see. Where do I need to go now? I need to go check out the pig because it's getting close to the end. And so I need to at least get that tended to. So over here on pigazette.com, where Hambo and Porcus reign supreme in their piggishness. You crazy guys, you. Their word of the day is Trumpocalypse. Okay. It's a panic which overwhelms the usual suspects who can't cope with this. There's a new sheriff in town and his guns aren't loaded with blanks. Okay. Whatever you say. He's a spouter. He's a spouter. Or, actually, some of the Pleiadian videos that I listen to, who is that? Barbara Marciniak? I think is who it is. They call him the trumpet because he likes to toot his own horn. I found that quite amusing myself. In the quotable quotes section, talk about fundamental transformation of our nation, wrote James Woods in a tweet. Trump is recasting America as the sovereign superpower of the world. Oh, we don't really want to do that, honey. He, Trumples, has done more of what he promised in a year and a half than any president in modern history, wrote Woods. And Merkel is a progressive chump. Okay, I won't argue with you about Merkel, but the rest of it, yada yada, blah blah. James, honey, look beyond the little piece of cloth and the Trumpelstiltskin verbiage. Look beyond. Oh, and then they have something about Kissinger, and I'm just not going to go there. Just not. And then about a Muslim terrorist. And then Daily Caller with Trumples and visa sanctions. And yada yada, blah 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 blah. Boys, come on. Quit tooting his horn. He's already got a big enough tooter. In any case, this date in history, the 13th of July, 1898, Comrade Schitlery's ultimate nightmare locked and loaded when an Italian named Guglielmo Marconi, he patents the radio for a future vast west right-wing conspiracy. He may patent it, honey, but actually it was Tesla. This date in history, the 13th of July, 1917, the hardest working woman in the hereafter, the Cherry Mama, makes her most famous personal appearance in Fatima, Portugal. The Cherry Mama. Okay. I guess that's another way of putting it. Thank you, boys. You only got 2 of them today. I'm going to have a chitty chat with your better half there, Hambo, and say, sweetheart, can you come up with a few more for those boys? Because they're getting to be slackers, don't you know? Only 2? There had to have been more than 2 things that happened this date in history. Boys. Okay. Hi, gangster male sexy. Over here on Minds. Okay. Ew, that's just nasty. That's just nasty. Okay, so if you have a puppy or young dog, smell its paws. Do they really smell like buttered popcorn? I have never done that. I have never done that. Huh. DOJ indictment. I'm not going to go check that out. I'm going back to my pocket because I have a few more things in my pocket that I wanted to get to. Like, the another fraudulent thing, a bunch of hooey balooey that's coming down the pike. 5G. Yeah, that's some nasty juju as well. This is from abc7ny.com or 7 on your side. Oh, shush, woman. See, that's another thing I didn't get tended to yet, is the making sure things don't auto-start. Oh, well. With 7 on your side, stray electric current causing costly pipe leaks in Queens. So, scores of Queens homeowners are suddenly faced with a gusher of costly problems related to leaky pipes in front of their homes. And now residents want someone to take responsibility. Well, the frustrated homeowners from Jamaica Estates, Rosedale, and Flushing have spent tens of thousands replacing the copper pipes that carry water from the water main in the street to their homes. And actually, copper pipes is the best way to go, but I'm sure they got you to change it with PVC or PEX or whatever. The problem is caused by stray direct current, or DC. That's corroding the pipes and causing the leaks. Now, this specific type of corrosion is called electrolysis. And coppered pipes should stay intact for about 60 years, but some Queens residents said that they've already replaced their pipes several times. Now, for the past 4 years, retired New York State Trooper Mike Sweeney and his neighbors have had a stream of water running down their block. My neighbor has had to replace it 4 times. It's ridiculous, Sweeney said. And for Anand Melwani, who is a landlord, insurance ate the cost of fixing supply lines until recently. And he fixed a leak in February, but by April his building basement was flooded again, and his claims were denied. So far, it's been about $22,000. Now, Scarlett Colley, who is a Flushing resident, said that she needed to replace her pipes twice in 2 weeks. And another Flushing resident said that he paid $7,500 out of pocket for repairs. The residents are now trying to figure out what's causing the electrolysis problem and who should be taking responsibility. Now, Con Edison said it's not the problem starter, as it doesn't use direct current. And the energy company said it recently launched an investigation and pointed the finger at Verizon. Con Ed said it traced the source of stray electricity to Verizon equipment on a pole in Rosedale. But Verizon said Con Ed's findings were flawed because it used fiber, not electricity, at that location. And now the New York City Department of Environmental Protection said that it is investigating and should have answers in a few months. So, after 7 on Your Side called the city's Office of Comptroller, a representative said that the city will conduct a thorough investigation. And they have phone numbers for anyone that is experiencing any problems, and an email address. And there's more info on the end of this. But yeah, Verizon rolling out that 5G. How fun is that? It's leaking. Oh, the indictment cleared all Americans? Ah, well, how wonderful is that? What? Okay. My doggies are barking. Woof, 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 woof. Okay. Back to my pocket I go. So, let's see. That one. Okay, now another one from Real Pharmacy, seeing as how we're doing some fraudy shit. Or did I already do this one? What? Wait a minute. Okay, I already did that one. Never mind. Back to my pocket. Where is that? Dun dun dun. Okay. This is from Luminous Sovereign over on Minds. And I saw it and I was going to get to it the other day and didn't. But, you know, it's kind of sort of fitting in with this whole fraud thing and misrepresentation. And it's a blog by Luminous Sovereign. The 2 United States, why federal law doesn't apply to you. I have read this before, and I've also heard it in YouTube videos and a few other places, and it's like, wow, that's very interesting. So, according to Luminous Sovereign, over here on Minds, The United States and the Union of Several States party to the Constitution of the United States are constitutional republics. The United States, by way of the Congress of the United States, has certain powers delegated to it by the Constitution. So far as the several states party to the Constitution are concerned, the United States may not exercise power not delegated by the Constitution. All power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution is reserved to the several states within their respective territorial boundaries or to the people. Excuse me. However, Congress is solely responsible for governing territory belonging to the United States. And this authority is conferred in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, and Article 1 or Article 4, Section 3.2 of the Constitution. The responsibility for governing territory belonging to the United States is vested solely in Congress. It is not shared by the other two branches of the federal government. Congress has absolute, or what is described as plenar power, municipal power, police power, etc. So far as its role as government for the several states party to the Constitution is concerned, the United States is an abstraction. It exists on paper only. It takes on physical reality after Congress positively activates constitutionally delegated powers through statutes enacted in accordance with Article 1, Section 7 of the Constitution. Now, when statutes are in place authoring administrative or judicial activity, the power of the United States becomes manifest through people carrying out duties prescribed by law Congress has enacted. Now, the second physical aspect of the United States is constitutionally delegated authority to own land and other property. The only specific mention and direct estate is at Article 1, Section 8.17 of the Constitution, which specifies that the Congress may acquire land for the seat of government and for forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. That's a needful buildings clause that gets you. States in which these land purchases are made must cede jurisdiction over the lands in order for the United States to extend federal laws and judicial authority over them. So, when the United States acquires land and secures jurisdiction over it, the United States becomes a geographical entity. In other words, after Congress acquired the District of Columbia from Virginia and Maryland, and the two state governments ceded jurisdiction, the United States became a geographical entity. And the geographical United States, within the framework of Article 1, Section 8.17 of the Constitution, includes the District of Columbia and all forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings within the several states. Now, there's a second class of territory belonging to the United States that existed when government of the United States convened under the Constitution in 1789. And that was territory claimed by the several states by way of the Treaty of Peace with Great Britain following the American Revolution, and the land ceded by King George extended from the Great Lakes on the north to the Atlantic on the south except for Florida, and approximately everything from Illinois to Mississippi and Alabama. Now, the states of the Union ceded lands beyond their respective original borders to the United States in order to generate revenue to pay debts accumulated by the Revolution, with the condition that as they settled and developed, the territories would become states of the Union. So prior to these lands being admitted to the Union, They were territories of the United States. And under provisions of Article 4, Section 3.2 of the Constitution, Congress is charged with responsibility for making all needful rules, not wantful rules, just needful rules, and regulations for territories belonging to the United States. Therefore, Congress has historically established territorial governments, providing for law enforcement, courts, and everything else necessary for a territory to operate in an orderly fashion. Now, the first venture in this enterprise was framed by the Ordinance of 1787, providing for government of the Northwest Territories. The United States was at that time operating under the Articles of Confederation. In 1789, when government of the United States convened under the Constitution, the Ordinance of 1787 was adopted as an existing covenant obligation and was subsequently extended to Kentucky and as applicable to Southern territories, Alabama and Mississippi included. The Louisiana Purchase from France and subsequently acquisition of Florida from Spain, I did not realize that. I didn't pay attention that day in history class. It included a treaty agreements to incorporate the land and people under the constitutional scheme. So the Ordinance of 1787 was applied as the development guide in acquired territories as well. Now this pattern held until the Spanish-American War. Islands ceded by Spain in 1898 were not incorporated in the constitutional scheme. In 1901, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that while Puerto Rico and other islands ceded by Spain belonged to the United States, they were for certain purposes foreign to the several states and incorporated treaties of the United States. And from the beginning, there were certain distinctions between the Union of States party to the Constitution and territories of the United States. For the most part, outlying territories were reasonably primitive, so many were first secured under military authority, then went through an evolution that progressed to representative government to development sufficient for self-rule. And at that point, most territories established their respective constitutions and were admitted to the Union on equal standing with any or with other states party to the Constitution. Now, Texas and California were two exceptions. Texas became an independent republic following the War of Independence from Mexico, then joined the Union by way of treaty. Sometime after Mexico ceded California, California became a state of the Union without formally going through territorial status. However, this has not been the case for the islands ceded by Spain following the Spanish-American War and other island acquisitions other than Hawaii. With admittance of Hawaii and Alaska in 1959, the last of the incorporated territories of the United States became states of the Union, leaving only unincorporated territories called insular possessions under Congress Article 4, plenary power. Plenary power? Is that how you say that? Okay. We need to hurry up and get to this, Sovereign, because I'm like, what? So, in 1946, the Philippines became an independent commonwealth, exiting the family of the United States insular possessions, and in 1953, Puerto Rico became a commonwealth for purpose of local government, something on the order of states of the Union, but remained an insular possession of the United States, subject to Congress Article 4 authority. Now, there are a total of 5 larger United States insular possessions with viable local governments, 4 of which have courts in the United States. We have Puerto Rico, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, and the Virgin Islands, and American Samoa. Now, the latter doesn't have a federal court. Smaller insular possessions are for the most part uninhabited or at best sparsely populated, or small enough that populations aren't truly viable small islands, reefs, etc. So none are incorporated in the constitutional scheme, although Puerto Rico in particular has addressed the possibility of becoming a state of the union. Don't do it. Don't go there. Don't go there. Okay, so after 1870, Congress began reserving land for the United States within the borders of new states admitted to the Union. This land fell within two classes, either unappropriated public lands, most of which was designated as national parks and forests, etc., like Yellowstone National Park, and lands secured in trust for Native Americans, and most of which was used to establish reservations. Now, the current geographical United States includes the District of Columbia and federal enclaves where jurisdiction over forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings has been ceded by the several states respectively. Lands retained in states admitted to the Union since approximately 1870 and insular possessions along with territorial waters, which is the 12-mile limit established under international law. So the geographical division determines Congress's power. Congress may exercise constitutionally delegated power, primarily under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, throughout the quote-unquote American Empire. This is Congress's general power. Congress exercises the combined power of state, national, and even local government in territory belonging to the United States in the geographical United States. This is Congress's special or limited jurisdiction. So within the union of several states, Congress may exercise only constitutionally delegated authority within the geographical United States. Congress may exercise all power not explicitly or implicitly prohibited by the Constitution. Congress's general powers delegated by the Constitution are restricted to those specifically enumerated in the Constitution. Congress's special plenary, I hate that word, power is permissive, limited only by implicit and explicit constitutional prohibitions, but may be exercised only in territory belonging to the United States. So Congress's authority in and over the geographical United States is somewhat on the order of a European government, where what we understand as national government in the American system is also state government. Where existing insular possessions are concerned, there is also the distinction that the Constitution applies to them only as Congress chooses to extend it. So the governing principles are more under international than constitutional law. Okay. This notion was first judicially framed by Chief Justice Marshall, in the 1828 decision involving an incident in Florida while Florida was yet a territory of the United States. The Constitution extends authority for Congress to declare war and make treaties. It also delegates authority for Congress to establish new states. Now, although the Constitution is silent with respect to acquisition of new territory beyond borders of existing states, and implicitly bringing territories ceded by original states of the Union, these powers are construed to extend territorial acquisition authority and vest Congress with authority to govern and determine disposition of acquired territory. Now, following the Louisiana Purchase, Thomas Jefferson drafted proposed amendments that would authorize incorporating Louisiana and other future states included in the purchase into the constitutional scheme, but Congress elected to proceed without an amendment. Chief Justice Marshall, writing for the Supreme Court in 1828, was put in a position of having to rationalize a quarter century of territorial development. In the Article 4 framework, he stepped from strict constitutional construction into the forum of international law. Thus, federal government found a capacity beyond strict constitutional restrictions, and there was a whole separate world to be explored and subdued beyond constitutional bounds. So to the point of the Spanish-American War, there was an amount of solace for incorporated territories of the United States as well as of the Union of several states, and once the Constitution has been extended to a territory, it cannot be retracted. The Ordinance of 1787 provided an amount of protection as it specifies that people of the territories were assured of common law and due process in the course of the common law, along with most other rights secured in the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. But unincorporated territories did not enjoy these assurances. An insular possession, having gained an amount of ground by way of compacts and agreements, but remain outside the constitutional scheme. So, okay, sweetheart, you need to... I'm getting here. Yeah. Virtually all of them are subject to due process in the course of the civil law or Admiralty Maritime and remain within Coast Guard jurisdiction. So with the history of the United States territorial acquisition and development in place, Congress's distinct role and distinction between the Union of several states and the geographical United States are reasonably clear, as mud, maybe. With this in mind, the reason precious little federal law applies to the Union of several states and the people of the several states will be easier to grasp. It's the underlying theme. Follow the money. In Article 1, Section 8.5 of the Constitution provided that Congress shall have power to coin money and regulate the value thereof. And at Article 1, Section 10.1, it stipulates that no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. At Article 1, Section 8.6, Congress is granted power to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting and securities and current coin of the United States. So there has been no constitutional amendment to alter these provisions, and they remain as firmly in place today as they were in 1789. Yet there is precious little gold and silver coin in the United States or the Union of States. None in general circulation. An old story has it that a woman once found her husband with another woman, but rather than panic, the man calmly got out of bed, slipped on his clothes, straightened himself up, and then asked the wife, "Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes?" Lying eyes. Yeah, okay. So, does the Constitution mandate gold and silver coin as the national currency? Monetary theories and rationalizations are irrelevant. Either the several states are prohibited from making anything but gold and silver coin a payment for debt, or they aren't. Authority to coin money and prescribe punishment for counterfeiting current coin of the United States pretty well locks the matter down. So either the several states are prohibited from making anything but gold and silver coin a payment for debt, or they aren't. And if this prohibition lies against the states, it allows the American founders, or it follows that American founders intended for Congress to provide gold and silver coin as a uniform monetary system. In fact, George Washington and others threatened not to attend the Constitutional Convention if the notion of federal paper currency was going to be considered. The fact that minting gold and silver coin of the United States was immediately implemented speaks to that matter. The first Congress, so far as possible, carried out constitutional intent. There was, however, an early glitch, because Congress chartered a national bank. Many powers were waiting at the gate from the beginning, and that experience soured, so the charter of the first national bank was terminated shortly after the turn of the century. Then a second was chartered. Andrew Jackson put an end to the second in 1836, when he vetoed the bill that would have renewed the charter. Jackson's reasoning was simple. The Constitution does not delegate authority for Congress to establish a national bank. Jackson's rationale has never been seriously challenged, and the Constitution has never been amended to authorize Congress to establish a national bank. Nor, for that matter, does the Constitution delegate authority for the United States to establish corporations, particularly private corporations. So, I'm out of time. Damn it. I was just really starting to get into this. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys, and then I'm going to finish reading it myself. Thanks, y'all, for listening to the Rocket Chair this evening on reallibertymedia.com, channel 10. I need to remind myself all the time to say channel 10. That really is pretty interesting. So it's starting to get interesting. Before it was like blah, 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 yada, yada. Lots of legalese bullshit. But in any case, be sure to stick around, because later on Grimner and Moose Girl will be here for the Freakers Ball. And then tomorrow at noon Eastern Time will be Flasher-Rooney Dork and Vinny Dork with the Dork Table. Sunday at noon Eastern Time, Grimner will be playing the blues, and we'll be joining in a rousing game of trivia while we're listening to the blues. And then directly following Grimner, will be Hal Anthony, who's going to open up a can of whoop ass on yo ass behind the woodshed. I will be back next week Wednesday for the Wackadoodle Wednesday edition of the Rocket Chair. But until then, I will catch you on the flip side, in the funny papers, wherever. I'll bump into you one way or another on the cybernetic highway. But until then, please remember, I truly do love you all. And I wish you all enough.